Allison here today. It's great to see. We are going to be talking about our medical and psychology clinical case competition. So, everyone in here has heard of case competitions before? All right. So some in here, I see some former participants. So basically, case competitions are unique to NSU. We create mock scenarios for students to develop their research skills, immerse themselves in healthcare situations, and then be able to apply knowledge into real life scenarios that are happening in South Florida. So this competition, dealing with medical and psychological skills, we're going to be talking about two parts of the case itself. So for every case competition, there is a clinical research solving a situation within South Florida. And then for this one, there's also a second component, which is a live case competition. So for those that don't know, in this case competition with the U.S. Army, we're going to be bringing U.S. medics on campus, and they're going to be putting up a drash, which is like a medical tent that you've probably seen in movies or anything. And this medical tent is going to be filled with 4 patient actors. Each of these patient actors are going to be exhibiting symptoms. They're going to be ones that you're going to be working on as a team. Now, that's for the live case competition. But only the 4 top teams will be competing in that live competition. In order to be eligible for it, there's going to be a research component. So if you guys can see right here, we have a student research and video proposal. I'll get into the workshops in a second. So for the research and video proposal, every team will be researching PTSD and the psychological effects of a traumatic event. So for our case competition, for the live event, it's going to be a bomb that went off. And so, Stu, you're going to be reacting to patients who are dealing with symptoms from that competition. Now, you're going to be researching PTSD, psychological effects of traumatic events, and you as a team will submit a short PowerPoint. You're not going to be presenting. This PowerPoint is going to include things from your research. So, in that presentation, you're going to address the following components. Based on your research on PTSD and psychological effects of dramatic events, what did you learn and what takeaways do you have on the topic within South Florida? So thinking about PTSD in South Florida, or individuals are dealing with effects from a dramatic event that happened in South Florida. How is South Florida providing resources to support those individuals? What resources, what support networks? Are we doing a good job in terms of supporting these individuals? And do they have resources to kind of deal with that situation? Then in that PowerPoint, you're also going to be putting in what solutions did you and your team develop to combat that issue within South Florida. So again, short PowerPoint, doesn't need to be presented. This is a proposal you're putting in there to help us understand that you've researched the topic, you've looked at all of the components of it, and then you've come up with solutions as a team to deal with that issue within South Florida. Any questions on that component of the research? So then the other part is you and your team, and you only need one member of your team to be the presenter for this. You're going to do a short video. It could be on your phone, it could be through Skype, filming yourself and your team talking about how this case competition will assist you and your team in reaching your career goals. Remember, the more specific you are, the better it's helping us understand how this is going to impact you and your team's career goals, career journey, passions, why this is an area that you feel you're going to be successful in. So again, those 2 parts, research on PTSD, dramatic effects from individuals that have been a part of a traumatic situation, how South Florida has dealt with that and how it could better serve these individuals, and then a video on why this case competition and being a part of it would be so advantageous for you and your team's career goal and overall goals within the field. From those, us and our team, our faculty are going to review all those submissions, and the 4 best submissions will be selected to be a part of the live case competition, which I'm going to be talking about in a second. Any questions thus far? All right, so you and your team are working on that. After even today, you can start working on those research. You also, whether you get selected for the live case competition or not, everyone in this room will receive Excel units for it, and you'll learn the clinical skills needed to compete in the competition. So you can see we have 4 workshops set up. They're all going to be led by U.S. Army medics, and it's going to teach you the skills that you need in the live case competition, or skills that will come useful when you do apply to medical school, pharmacy school, any of the healthcare programs. So even if you don't get chosen for the live competition, these workshops are going to teach you the hard skills necessary in healthcare. So the 4 workshops are HABC, bleed management, airway and respiratory management, triaging and evacuation, and then a psychological assessment workshop. So as you guys come up with your teams, so you can have a team of up from 3 to 6 members. Just make sure that at least 2 members of your team, you have 1 person that is from Halmos College, public or biology, chemistry, what have you, and then 1 individual that has a background in psychology. You could have a mix. You could have public health major, biology, psychology, but at the very least you need 1 biology, public health, and you need another one in the psychology. Minors count as well, so be strategic on how you select your 6 members. It can be as small as 3, but just remember, if you're a team of 3, if you get selected for the live case competition, you're going to have less hands to assist the patient. So keep those things in mind as you select the team. Now, also the great part of having 6 members on your team is your whole team doesn't need to attend each workshop. You just need 1 representative from each team. Now, for yourself, it would be great to get these skills. So it'd be great if you want to also gain these skills for yourself and not just part of a team. So requirement, because you don't know as you're attending these workshops, you haven't been selected yet for the live case competition. And so that is a requirement for each team participation. You need to attend, each member or 1 member from each team needs to attend each of the workshops. You need to then work on your research proposal, your video proposal. And as you go through these workshops, you're going to be learning the hands-on skills. These are going to be very active workshops. You're going to actually be applying it. There's going to be dummies. There's going to be things where you're learning it exactly how the U.S. Army trains on it. So it's really hands-on. It's knowledge that you're going to be able to sell back when you go into these medical school or professional school applications. So those workshops, and you can see the dates on them right now, they're on Handshake as well. If you or your team have a conflict, like, hey, all my team members were not able to attend this 1 workshop, communicate with us. You can see on the bottom it has me and Olivia's email. Make sure you're in communication with us. If you can't attend, letting us know with ample time, and we could find other ways to get you that information. We are recording all the workshops, but that doesn't mean that you cannot attend it. That's a requirement. It's going to hinder your ability to be selected for that live case competition. So these workshops, these research, developing your team, and something I didn't mention, but the research and video proposal, they're going to be due by, what day is it going to be? They are March 6th. So you can see by March 6th, all the workshops would have been done with already. So at that point, once you've done all the workshops, you've now submitted your video proposal, your research proposal. Within a week, you're going to be identified. So March 6th, you're turning it in. By the next following Monday, no later than March 11th, you're going to be hey, my team got selected, so that you can prepare for March 25th, which is the live case competition. Even if your team doesn't get selected, if you do all these other things, you will get Excel units for it. You will have things to add to your resume. And you now have clinical skills that can be sold when you go to professional school. But again, even if you don't get selected, you're welcome to come to the live case competition, support your other students. But this is a great way to get experience in your field and a good way to add something else in terms of your repertoire going into healthcare. Because unlike, you're going to notice in undergrad, it's very difficult to get clinical exposure, learn clinical skills. Also, medical schools and professional schools aren't expecting to learn it. But if you can find avenues to gain it, that can be a real good selling point, something that separates you from the pack. So don't get discouraged if you don't get selected for the live case competition. Going through these workshops and doing this research, it's like an internship on its own and something that you can easily sell back. Yes?
If we decide not to participate in the case competition, can we still attend the workshops?
Absolutely. These workshops are open to everyone. So even if you're like, hey, I don't want to do the case competition, but I want to attend all the workshops and learn for myself, that's absolutely allowed. Question there? Yeah. Yeah, so you could be adding all of these workshops you attended on professional trainings on your resume, talking about the skills you've learned, how you've applied them. Also, you could be able to talk about the research that you did on this case competition, because it's almost like two experiences in one. You can talk about the research proposal, talking about also how that research proposal was used in something very relevant. Each of our competitions have you apply that knowledge to the local community. So it's like, yes, PTSD as a whole you're researching, but then specifically, how are you going to solve it within South Florida? So those are big sell points, because when you go to a medical school interview, they're also asking you about, well, tell me trends that are happening in healthcare and how have you kept up to date on it? How have you applied knowledge and learning into a classroom into real life scenarios? What are your thoughts on how South Florida community and healthcare? These are all questions that you're going to be able to answer a lot more in detail, but there's a lot of different ways that we could add this case competition onto your resume or your application for medical school or any of those healthcare programs. Questions, guys? That's a great question. So some of you may already have team members, but some of you are still looking for team members, and that's okay. We have a sign-up sheet, so after we're done, it's right over here. Olivia, Madison, myself, and Alicia are all going to be here to help you get partnered up. So if you're by yourself or you have a friend, you're like, hey, we're interested, but we need a psychology major, or we need people to join our team, we can partner you up. If you're a team of 3 and you've already met the requirements, but you're like, hey, we would love to have 6 members, so we have more wiggle room on attending the workshops, everything, that's something we could also partner you up with. Throughout the whole process, our whole team, Dana in the back, honors, will be communicating with you updates like, hey, here's a great webinar on clinical skills. Hey, here's a great research topic for you guys. Articles, interest. Again, we're recording all of the workshops, including this information session. So if your team does get selected for that live competition, some of you might be like, hey, I know Johnny attended the bleed management, I attended the respiratory management. We're gonna send you all those recordings, so heading into the live competition, you can refresh your mind or be able to ask questions on, hey, what if I run into this scenario? This patient is showing these type of symptoms. How should I respond? So that we can guys give you some accurate feedback prior to the live case competition. Questions, guys? I know it's a lot of information. Yeah. Absolutely. We've had competition where freshmen have won it. We've had competition where upperclassmen have won it. Again, it's all for gaining experience. And the skills that you need to do this are all learned through the workshops, are all based on your own research. So there's no huge advantage by being a junior as opposed to a freshman. It's all about the work you put into it. And I will tell you, one of the big components that medical schools are looking for is research, putting yourself in new type of situations that involve healthcare immersion. There's a lot of different ways that you're gonna have some great sell points. Yep, there's a question there?
Is there a date for signing up for a team?
No real due date, but considering that one of the the first workshops is next week, you know, each of your team is allowed like one excused absence that no one can go to one of the workshops, but the sooner the better so that you can start planning out with your team, hey, who's attending what workshop and when. And then the only other due date is March 6th, turning in the research proposal and your video proposal.
Let's say I have like a friend who didn't attend this session. Like,
And that's okay.
okay.
This one's not required. We're filming this as well, so we're going to be sharing it with anyone that came today. So you can share it with any friends or people that you're like, hey, they might be interested too. You got a question?
Yeah. Does this happen like every year?
Yeah, we do it every semester. So this one we're doing 2 competitions, a little different. This is very much focused on healthcare and psychology. Tomorrow we have an information session on chronic illness, dealing with diabetes and creating a wellness plan and doing research on chronic illnesses. So every competition is different. This is the first time we do it with actual patient actors. So, and we've done one that involves true clinical skills. Luckily, the U.S. Army is putting up these great workshops for us, but this is something that's going to be happening more often. We do them every semester, but they're going to be more and more interactive as we keep going further along. Yes?
When we develop like the short presentation, how would you like send it to PowerPoint or like?
PowerPoint or Prezi, as long as it's hitting all the points that you need. And then the video one is just a short video proposal. Yeah?
I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but how long is your research team?
Very short. As long as you're hitting all the points, it could be in different lengths. We didn't really put a specific length of it. You're going to be measured by how you address the problem, not necessarily, oh, this person had 30 slides, you had 4. As long as it has all the details, it also has a reference page, like where did you get some of this information from, and then show detailed research and critical thinking skills, understanding the situation and addressing the problem appropriately.
We have a question over here, please.
Yeah, please. then I'll-
When would the agreement points be due?
Yeah, 2 weeks from today. Is there a question over there? No, so there's no written proposal. It's the PowerPoint is your actual like research component to it. So like our chronic illness one is a little different. Instead of a PowerPoint, it's like a 6-page research project. This one's a little different because there's so many workshops and other things you have to do. To make it easier, a PowerPoint is a lot easier than writing 6 pages out. It's like able to get your best ideas out there in a short, succinct way.
When it comes to the psychological assessments, should we stick to one theory, one approach to psychology, or can we take eclectic approaches from different theories?
That we leave it to you to kind of do, as long as it's thoroughly showcased. And then the workshop itself, it's going to be talking about different assessments, different categories, but we're not limited to one avenue. But as long as it's thought out through and concise in how you're explaining it. A question over there? Yep.
Where would you turn the agreement?
So you would just email it on each of these flyers. You can see on the bottom it has 2 emails. An easier one is also an email that casecompetitions@nova.edu, and it'll get sent to all the people involved. And after today, everyone that attended will get an email from us, so you can respond to that one right there. Or again, you could look at your sheet right here, and it has the 2 email addresses also listed. Another question? I see one over there. Yep.
In terms of representing the case of our colleges, if someone has a minor, like
That counts. Yeah. So if you had someone that's, let's say, biology major and a minor in psychology, you'd be able to meet the requirements. We're trying to be flexible, so we don't want to turn teams away, but we do have colleges in collaboration, and so we want to make sure that we have good representation from everyone. Yes? We're going to be trying to send it out within the next week or so. But if you haven't gotten partnered yet, what I would say is just attend next week's workshop for the bleed management, but we'll get you partnered up front. Guys, questions? Did I have any more of this? Guys, you sure? Any questions on either side of the room?
Oh, one over there.
Yes. Guys, can we keep it down just 1 second? So this counts as 1 Excel unit. Even if you don't do the live competition, you need the required amount of hours to get 1 case unit. Yes. There's no limit, so really as many as students want. We're not trying to turn any student away or lose the opportunity. So really as many students come up with teams are the ones that can compete. Yes. Yeah. The top 4 teams will be selected. So guys, something else I want to leave you with is everyone in this room is an interest in getting in medical school, going on a pre-health track. Sometimes that can feel like climbing a mountain and you're always asking yourself, how do I separate myself from the pack? You're also stressed that I got a lot on my plate as it is, how can I do more? Just know that experiences like this not only set you apart from the pack, but it really can showcase how you can balance a big work schedule, like classes, what have you, and then do more. Because guess what, when you get into medical school, dental school, pharmacy, the expectation is that you do more. You're gonna have clinicals every day, you're gonna have patients every day, you're gonna have tests every day, and you still need to be able to do more, get involved in clubs, do research onwards. This is the beginning of you being able to develop that mindset and that ability, and also something else that you're gonna be able to sell back. So it's a unique experience, and that's what we talk about the NSU Edge. You can get these experiences nationally through HOSA, but I think in this situation like this where it involves the research, the realistic South Florida component to it, working in cross-functional teams, this is something that could be really unique. So as you're thinking about it, just know, don't worry about the failure. Oh, I'm not gonna be the top 14. Worry about how is this gonna impact my journey to my real goals of applying to that professional school, setting myself apart, or even just having sell points that when you're looking for another research opportunity, a summer internship, a position at a hospital, you now have something real that you could talk about within the interview. Yep.
It also says that students will be tasked with writing a research paper. So would that be like after the exam?
No, so the research paper is just the PowerPoint that you're gonna be developing. So you're doing research on the topic, you don't have to write a full paper, it's more like, let me make sure in my PowerPoint I'm hitting all these points. So like, you know, what did you learn about PTSD as a whole? What takeaways did you have? You know, how is this topic relevant to the community? And then as a team, coming up with a plan of, here's how we would better support this issue in South Florida. Yes, question there?
What is the effect of like dramatic events and then like examples like school shooting situations? Like, pick a specific dramatic event that teachers do have an effect on?
Absolutely. You know, just make sure relevant, again, to apply within South Florida. I've also let you know what the live event would be in terms of a bombing situation, so it kind of gives you an idea. But again, this is for you to be able to learn about PTSD, how it affects all types of patients, and then being able to talk about maybe a specific event or something that's very relevant to South Florida. Yes, and then I'll go.
Are you allowed to ask like for aid from professors?
Absolutely. You know, as long as you get supported, you guys can talk to them, making sure it's your own creative thoughts, your work, but you know, this is why you have faculty members and these colleges are involved to provide you that support. Question?
The workshops we have will be held here.
Yep, they're all gonna be in DeSantis, I believe. Did we reserve? I believe in this room, in fact. But if not, you can go on Handshake, you can take a look at the room number. Yeah.
For the actual like event, are the groups required to take responsibility or like?
No, so we have that there. We're gonna work with your class schedule. The commitment will probably be is 12 to 1:30. So at most you might have 30 minutes. You might have to work with a professor to get it. But then 12 to 1 hour, no student should have class because that lunch hour. 12 to 3 is like the whole event, including the Army's gonna have tabling, everything. But the live case competition is really having from 12 to 1, 12 to 1:30 the most. Guys, any other questions? And again, it's okay if you have some afterwards. If you want to speak to us afterwards, we're here. If you need, again, team members, we can help you out with that. If you have more questions, I think we have the answers to them. So again, this is going to be a great experience for you guys. Really hope to see you guys sign up. And again, don't be afraid of the challenge. That's what's going to make you great doctors, great psychologists, is meeting that challenge and learning new things. You end up learning more from the failures than you do from the successes. And it's going to be a great way to experience both and put yourself in new kind of situations that you're going to see in kind of the future career. Awesome. Yes, one more question?
We were talking about like the presentation number of slides, right? You said it was okay if it was like a lot.
It could be a lot, it could be a little. It's up to you. Every team's going to be different, and now one's going to be a better. Some people have writing styles or presentation where I'm like, I want all these slides. Some of them short and succinct. As long as it shows your research, it shows that you're combating the issue. It's creative, you know, putting it together, all the things that you've looked at, and coming up with a realistic solution for it. And the video, again, no more than 5 minutes. It could be 3 minutes. As long as it's really telling me why you're passionate and interested in this type of case.
Yeah, what's your question?
Question. You said that there was another classroom that you were going to give a presentation in for this exact thing?
Yeah, well, if anyone had any questions, I think we fit everyone in here, but I'm happy to go over anything. If you came in late or anything like that, I could talk to you right afterwards and give you all the details.
Okay, amazing.
And we're also filming this, so again, you guys will get the filming of this as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, and then again, if you guys are interested in doing more than one competition, we have a chronic illness one tomorrow. It's not as long of a competition, but it's very different in terms of dealing more with public health. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming today, and look forward to seeing you guys at the competition.